Hello, this is your intern girl from the spirit world. Well, this is a very interesting video that I'm going to be doing about lower ranking spirits, lower ranking demons. Now, Ephesians 6, they talk about, principalities, rules of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. Now, the places is those that have a ranking, and every demon and spirit has a particular ranking. And of course, you got the high ranking ones, in high places, principalities. Then you have, powers in the earth, powers in the spirit world, and then you have the little spiritual wickednesses in high places. Now, the spiritual wickedness in high places, Lord told me, is the lower ranking ones. They're actually the ones that when you come in to be with the Lord has to have you deal with those first. And these are the ones that agitate, irritate, vexate, and cause like minor disturbances in your mind, minor disturbances in your spirit or your health, or anywhere else in your family. Now, Lord put me into mind of the lower ranking examples that I used to watch. Now, if you're my age, I'm about to turn 50 next month. I watch a lot of these movies about little creatures and stuff like that. Like Gremlins is one. Where the little gremlins, you add water, he became a gremlin. And then I watched one called Critters back in the day, 1, 2, and 3, by these little monstrous little animals like balls with hair that would chew on you and eat you up. Another one I watched back in the day was Troll. Troll was about these little, look like monstrous little elvish little creatures that would literally use, witchcraft, sorcery to turn you into vegetation and devour you. Another one I used to watch was Orcs. Orcs is like little, you saw the orcs in Lord of the Rings. They look like mutated men and women. They became demonized and mutated in order to, control, and they're very, feral. And they're very, monstrous and fighting and instinctive. So he told me a little bit about those. And he said, including the ones minions. And now you know about minions, them little yellow little things with little eyeballs around that kids love, right? And fairies as well. He had me remember, particularly the Spider Chronicles, about all these different little spirits. Cat's Eye, where they had this small little spirit, trying to steal the breath of this girl. I'm going way back on y'all. But if you remember any little movies, even now, and I don't make that many of them now, as they used to. But back in the day, they made all these kind of movies about little creatures, little imps, little elves, leprechaun. Now, I ain't talking about a friendly leprechaun, I'm talking about leprechaun, including leprechaun in the hood. All these little creatures and stuff they would have, they were always devouring, or they're always turning people into something. They're always eating something, eating you or eating somebody. Even when I saw, look, this was even before I was born, about pod people, where it was this seed came from the tree and turned this man to a seed pod creature, alien, and, a lot of these, the Lord told me, these are all lower ranking demons. Imps, sprites, fairies. These are spiritual wickednesses in high places. Now, what do? They, of course, they do devour. They're just as vicious as the ones out there. They just don't have the ranking, but they're like the ones on the ground. They're the ones that irritate. They're the ones that devour, your life, your seeds and stuff. Your seeds of righteousness, your seeds of blessings and breakthroughs and stuff like that. These are the ones that will, also use sorcery and magicry in whatever they're doing to turn your life upside down, turn your children upside down. Also, they're there to devour spiritually as well as naturally everything that you own. So these are the ones that agitate. These are the ones that agitate and give irritation. These are the ones that will, operate in people just to irritate and get on your nerves. But they're dangerous because the simple thing is, as you saw in the movies, they do devour, they do destroy. They're there to kill, steal, and destroy, whether your mind, body, soul, or joy, or peace. And once you start off being saved of the Lord, that's the ones you deal with. Even though you got some other ones you got to deal with because of where you're going and what God has to take off of you. And how to deal with these type of low ranking demons, you have to rebuke and bind them up and, close all portals and doors to them, because they'll come in different realms and different places. This is the wicked ones. This is the little ones that, want to do wicked stuff to you so you can get a reaction, or they want, to turn you into something wicked because of somebody rolling their eyes, somebody offending you, somebody hurt your feelings, somebody fighting you and stuff like that, spiritually and naturally. So these ones are still dangerous. Just because it's a small scorpion don't mean you can't bite and sting you. So those are the ones we talk about. Now the other ones, now when you go up to principalities of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places, the rulers of darkness, of course, the wicked folks. That's the ones that, I told in the last video. Demonic powers in high places. When you start talking about principalities and powers, you talking about the ones that pretty much been here before the dinosaurs. And I'm talking more about that in the next video. They were here before the dinosaurs. Found out about dinosaurs. Going, Lord. And I always ask God about that, and we talk about that later. Powers in high places. He's the ones that been governing up the regions. When Satan got kicked out and took a third of his friends with him, these are the ones that govern the different regions of the earth. They cannot be everywhere at the same time like God and his angels can be. Angels can go with to and fro and stuff like that. God can be everywhere, but Satan cannot. So he sends out his little minions in different places. He sends out his imps, his sprites, his trolls, his orcs, and stuff like that, govern and, have territory and ranking in those different areas. And then, the ones that were in high places, the ones that are, demonic powers and principalities, they go to different regions and then they select rulers of darkness, which is wicked people in high places to govern and cause the same havoc that they need them to cause. So they give them directions, them wicked men and women, and then they execute it. So they're all over there. You see a lot of conspiracies about secret society and stuff like that. Those are the rulers of darkness, but the demonic powers, they're the ones, the head honchos. These are the ones that in the marina trenches, they're like, release the Kraken, that one. These are the ones that have been around for millions of years. And they have many names for them. And there's plenty of them. If you read in Deuteronomy all the way up by Dagon, Lord names them. Leviathan in Job 41, he names them. The dragon, he names them. They have many names in different cultures. So that's the thing about it. They might call them one name here. They'll call them another. For one example, like Poseidon. Poseidon has many names. He has Neptune. He's also called another name in Wakanda. They called him the people in Wakanda too that was in the water. That's another name for him. Then they have another name for him in different parts of the earth. In Africa, they have another name for that based on their culture. So it may have many names, but it's the same principality and demonic powers, meaning they do got some power. They will govern regions. And if you notice in the earth, and I remember doing a whole video on this on my live, check out my lives, where I really broke down the hierarchy. But the Lord put into remembrance on how no matter why they have movies about it. And they have movies about spirits even now. So if you see the latest movies where they're coming out, this spirit here, you can check out on Prime Video. You can check out on Netflix, this spirit here. And one in particular that I saw the synopsis was quite interesting, like Sweet Heart Run, Sweetheart Run. Didn't know that she went out on a date with a fallen angel that was coming after her. They're always sneaking in these spirits and demonic powers in high places. And you have to know, they pretty much tell you what that thing is doing. When they tell you it's an entity in the woods, and they're telling you, it's called the ritual. They're telling you, they're telling you what's out there. Even in the Appalachian Mountains, they're telling you what's out there. They're telling you about the principalities. They're telling you about it. In another video, I talk about portals. They're telling you exactly what it is in the movie, that it is. And if you try to watch it, don't be trying to watch it when the Lord will tell you to watch it. I just can look for them and say, that's a spirit. And these spirits are real. These spirits are not just make-believe. A lot of ideas can come from God or the devil. So a lot of this stuff is inspired by something that's real. So we have to be mindful of that. The stuff that we see in the earth, the stuff that we see in movies, stuff that we see in industry and books and stuff like that. This stuff can reveal to you what spirits and principalities, rulers of darkness, and spiritual wickedness in high places. And the reason why this came to me, because I remember coming across TikTok, I remember seeing this movie Troll. And these movies were back in the day. They had so many of them little critter horror movies like crazy. Ghouls was another. I thought about Ghoulies. Ghouls was another one. And you're like, what are these? Lord said these are little entities that will actually possess, kill, and destroy folks. They will do it. They just lower rank it. They don't tell everybody what to do. The high powers tell them what to do. That part. They tell them what to do. And then they tell the rulers of darkness, the wicked men in high places, what to do. That's how it goes. So make sure you like, subscribe to this channel, and I'll be talking to you on the next one. God bless you.